You know, it's funny you say there's only one Trey Kaufman. I've got a Google alert set up for myself, which sounds narcissistic, but I think everybody should do it so you know what's being said about you. There is a Trey Kaufman who plays basketball for like North Carolina, and trust me, I am not him. I'm not good at basketball, but your point is very valid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, in regard to our country, I've been around for 35 years. I've really only paid attention to politics since maybe the early to mid aughts, the mid 2004 2008, and I have only recently started seeing what you mentioned about people not being comfortable necessarily with who they are, and obviously the last year was difficult for many people and for many different reasons. And I've got my own beliefs, and other people have their own beliefs, and which is great. And one thing that I've wanted to start doing, because I think it's important, is trying to bridge the gap. Which there's a lot of rhetoric around that, which is great if we can follow through with it. But I just
Yeah.
when I see people that I tend to respect, just continuing to make fun of the other side, just for laughs, for clicks, for whatever it is, that I used to laugh at that. I used to click a heart, a like, whatever. It used to be funny to me, but now it's starting to pain me, because I can see how just these little jabs are creating these major issues within us as people, not just us as Americans, and it's becoming a real big problem. And I'm doing my absolute best to understand where people's fear comes from, because I think that's a lot of what the underlying root cause is. We are fearful of not, getting a seat at the table, or not getting our fair share of stimulus checks or vaccines or whatever it is. And I
Right.
don't think that these little jabs are beneficial to coming together, as one race, one species, or whatever you want to call it.
I think one thing, Trey, that really leaps out to me is again that idea at its core of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Managing my thoughts and emotions to make optimal, better decisions, right? And the questioning of, okay, what is this emotion telling me, is not one of like, hey, I need to sit in a room for an hour to figure that out.
Right.
It's trying to get to the root of, well, what's the why behind that? You know, why are you getting angry with this person because of their view that's different than yours?
Right.
What's behind it? Being curious? And we probably have a whole show on the lack of curiosity in our country.
Yeah.
But I firmly believe if I'm willing to embrace curiosity, well, especially with myself, like, well, Eric, why does that make you uncomfortable? And what's really behind that?
Right.
How did that start? What are you doing? No, don't focus on Trey and on that political party or whatever. Focus on you for a little bit. And then I think oftentimes, and I'm going to speak for myself here, Trey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Typically find there's an issue that's much deeper, and most of the time relates closer to me than it does to that other person or other people or that organization.
Right.
I might find myself using those people, those organizations as my distraction, my scapegoat, to mask my unwillingness to actually look at, why do I get angry? Why do I get fill in the blank?
Yeah.
And hear me out, Trey, and for your audience. This is not about judgment of yourself or anyone else. That's the beauty of curiosity. It's opening your mind to learn and to discover. Once you do that and you exhaust that curiosity, then you can make a healthy judgment.
Yes.
That healthy judgment that says, well, maybe, you know what, I spend too much time on Twitter. That's the issue. That's what's the big deal. It's not the president. It's not the political parties. It's not my friend who doesn't believe in what I believe. It's that I'm spending too much time here.
Yeah.
That's the issue. And man, that should be liberating for us, because then we can kind of go, all right, what do I need to do? And Trey, I will tell you, I was doing a show last week, and the question came up about, well, how do I, I can't remember exactly what their issue was, but it was a big how do I that is really not something you could in the span of 2 minute answer. And I said to it, here's the deal. There's multiple layers in what they asked. However, if we could just use this simple little plan, is what I'm doing making my life better? Yeah. Use that as your filter to pour everything through. Is me looking at Twitter making my life better at the amount of time that I spend there? Is me hitting like for a jab or whatever, is that making my life better? And if we have that spirit of curiosity, we'll be willing to, without judgment, to go, well, you know what? I don't think it's helping anybody. It's not helping me. I think I'm going to do something different. Or, yes, this is absolutely what I should be involved in. This is absolutely because it is making my life better, and I know it, and I can see it. Yeah. Well, then maybe you should continue that. That's where I go with it. And I think, again, kind of the spirit of why we do the work we do is to help people and give them tools to actually do that as a practice every day.
That's great. The way you said that is absolutely perfect. I guess to an extent that is something I've tried to practice without putting words to it, but is what I'm doing making my life better? And I imagine you can take it one step further once you're able to answer that question honestly. Is what I'm doing making the lives of people I care about better? And if that answer is no, then you can reevaluate.
Yes, and Trey, if you think about it, let's just use Ohio as just the grand example, right? Yeah. What if every citizen in Ohio adopted that? Like we were this weird thing that happened to Ohio. Something got in the water and everybody started looking every day. Okay, it's what am I doing? It's what I'm doing. Is it making my life better? I think the ripple effect from that kind of thing, it would almost be like a tsunami. Yeah. Right? Because all of a sudden, I'm not looking through a lens of judgment. I'm not looking through a lens of insecurity and all of that stuff. I've started to make that movement, and I guess I'm saying it that way to say, I think one of the mistakes that the United States has made is that we've jumped over into Washington, D.C. to solve. Yeah. Where really the solving begins with us as individuals. Absolutely. Right? And as we get better, Trey, as you become more emotionally intelligent, I become more emotionally intelligent, that has effects on children, friends, wives, spouses, husbands, partners, whatever you want to use, neighbors, coworkers, right? Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to paint this picture like, oh, this solves everything. But my goodness, what if one of your friends who's been maybe kind of pessimistic over the last 3 years starts to see you becoming more optimistic and starts to think, oh, I need to ask Trey, what's driving all that? Maybe I should think about that. And then the person he works with, and then, instead of this, hey, you over there in DC, I need you to pass a law. Yeah. I mean, just my sort of my perspective on that.
No, it's a great perspective. And actually the way you say that, it resonates with me because I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I decided I'm done with social media, and I quit. I was done. I didn't want that negativity in my life, and I wiped my hands, and I was done. And as I went into business for myself, as I started this particular podcast, I realized, okay, maybe I can't be fully done with social media. And so I gradually got back into it. And it must have been sometime last year, maybe 2019 when this started. I decided that if I'm going to put anything on social media, anything at all, it's going to be positive. It's not going to be toxically positive. It's not going to be toxic positivity. I don't buy that. I don't think it's good for anybody. It's just going to have a positive tone. If I'm going to post anything, I'm not going to attack anybody, which I have done in the past because I was an angry person for a long, long time, which
Yep.
tends to surprise some people sometimes, but that is, the work I've done on myself. But whatever I post on social media, it is going to have, it's going to be positive. With the goal of it positively impacting other people who wish to follow me. And I have had people reach out and say, how do you do this? Why, what is it about you, about what the work you've been doing, it allows you to be so positive? I say, listen, I put this out there because I don't want to have a negative impact on somebody. I am constantly working on myself. I get angry on occasion when my Google Home screws up and doesn't hear me. I get irrationally angry at stupid things, but I'm able to move past them. And if I'm going to put anything out into the world, I want people to be lifted up, not dragged down from it.
Yeah, that's great. And again, I'm one of those people that believes that as you do that, and as others catch that fire, you begin to see change.
The Mosaic Life podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the full show notes at themosaiclifepodcast.com and sign up for the Circle newsletter for exclusive access to podcast content.